Hello.
Oh, cool. I can see you.
Okay, I cannot see you, but that's okay.
I don't know why. I really don't know why you cannot see me. Wait a second. Maybe I can do something. Oh, okay. Oh, here I am.
Okay, very nice. Hi.
Very nice. I'm so happy to see you. Thank you that you found time for us. It's so important for our Russian Jewish community here.
Sure.
Cool. Okay. So I check if everything is recording, if we have everything done. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so let's start. I read about you a lot. And I'm so excited because you're the one who started so much years ago, and now you're still create, you're still work. You and what I want to ask you, how you found, I mean, that how it works, for example, like 10 years, 30 years ago, the music, the attitude, the people around, and what about the community, let's speak like that now? What changed and how you change to get that, understand your music and everything what you make?
So I don't know if I changed very much since I started. It was, historically speaking, it was in 1988.
Yeah.
Long time ago. I think before you were born, probably. In 1988, I received a telephone call from the organization that is called American Jewish Joint Distribution Committee, that they want to talk to me. I don't have to go into details. They had an agreement at that time with the government that they will be happy to assist with the idea of music. So the joint asked me to fly, and my wife and I flew in 1989. In May 1989, it took a year to put the things together, and we flew to Moscow, St. Petersburg, and Tashkent. I gave in Moscow 2 concerts at the Tchaikovsky Hall with the Philharmonic. In St. Petersburg, at that time it was still called Leningrad. In St. Petersburg, in the very big synagogue, only with a very small group. and in the same kind of a group also in Tashkent in the Opera House, 2 concerts in one day. That's completely crazy. Nobody does that, but here you are. Now, and also it was arranged that I should investigate 2 things. One is to see whether we can form the Moscow Academy of Jewish traditional music. By the way, I did it, I never took a penny. The expenses were paid by the joint, the aeroplanes, the hotels, whatever. And I remember we we carried big boxes of kosher food with us from New York. And we flew, and they arranged for a group of, at that time, I think there was about a group of 15 men from all over the former Soviet Union. And they came to study with me, to begin studying with me the basics of synagogue music, how to chant the prayers. Some of them had some ideas, but the ideas were not clear. They were not very much good. And we sat, and I was teaching them 10 hours a day for about a week.
10 hours a day?
10 hours, non-stop singing and talking, singing and talking. And I spoke in 3 languages. I spoke in Hebrew, English, and not Russian. I don't know Russian. Hebrew, and Yiddish, and English. Okay. And then I proposed immediately to the Minister of Religious Affairs, that was in the time of Gorbachev. He came to hear a concert in the synagogue in Archipova Street. And I proposed that the best thing to maintain, to improve the knowledge, the enjoyment of the traditional Jewish liturgical music is by forming a first-class men's choir that can compete with the music of the Red Army, the choirs of the Red Army. And that was as a joke, but yes. So we had that guy there before, and very soon, a couple of months later, Tsaliuk, Dr. Sasha Tsaliuk took over the choir. I sent a lot of music notes, tons of them. They had nothing whatsoever. And many, many years before, Russia was the home of Jewish traditional classical music. But that's okay. I sent it, and in diplomatic way, in whoever went, I went. I remember in the early years, I went about 3 or 4 times a year to Moscow. And that's how the whole thing started going on. And it became developed into big interest. The choir is outstanding. I know choirs all over the world. I've sung with them all over the world, but nothing like the Moscow choir.
Yes, that was my next question, that if you remember that first connection, this team of Alexander Tsaliuk is the first question. And second, you're the one who worked this all the world. You can compare. So like now you tell that how you don't found something like that, like in Russia. Let's start to speak how you found Alexander Tsaliuk, how he was when you know him, and how he is now. I mean that all I know that you're very close together, and
yes.
You saw how he like grow up professional speaking. So let's speak about your meeting and what you have now. I mean that big period,
Okay.
but you stay next to him.
So I met Alexander Sasha, and I was extremely impressed by his knowledge of music. First class conductor, to the point that when he took me to meet his teacher at the academy, the big conservatory of music in Moscow, his teacher said that he's one of the best students at that time. I'm talking about 1990, maybe. It's a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I was very impressed by Sasha. I was impressed by him also that in addition to being a first-class musician and a first-class conductor, both choral and instrumental symphony orchestra, he is totally dedicated without any hesitation to the Jewish music, to the choral Jewish music, and that's his life. And he gives a lot of his life towards it. And so Sasha grew up with the music and spread himself to other artists, not necessarily conductors. One, there is a choir in a cantor in Russia. I don't remember exactly where he is, but Sasha is fully dedicated to expand the knowledge, the appreciation, the understanding of the Jewish liturgical classical music. I still send him from time to time music. He has, I think, a library of music, maybe now more than I have. Because
it's important to understand that music like Jewish, or it's important also to feel that music like professional, because you know that a lot of people who study music a lot of years and they can do that perfectly, but they don't feel it. And the public can feel that. So you're the one who professional, how you think, what is that important to know, like literally speaking, that music to understand, to play grateful, or else it's to know, to feel. Because when I listen team of Alexander, it's something unbelievable, it's something cosmic, and you never know what is it. It's a professional way because he have a professional team, or it's also what he feel inside because he's so deep Jewish, who give that music this all his feelings. And all people who stay and listen, it's something unbelievable.
So Sasha is an expert in the Jewish music. Now he's a world expert. Yeah. I know that people approach him for all kinds of things, and that's my greatest pleasure, of course. And Sasha, both the emotional and the professional. And you know that very often, whenever we get together, the last time was only 2019, when I was in Moscow the last time. Mm-hmm. And then we met in Berlin, which he conducted an outstanding concert with me, of course, the mayor, the foreign minister of Germany at that time. And then came, of course, unfortunately, the pandemic and the whole thing. Sasha today is regarded as an outstanding conductor in the world of Jewish music. People appreciate him, people like him, and that gets transferred into the way the boys, they are not boys, the singers are, how much they love him and how much they are willing to do far above the call of duty. Far above. That means that they love him. That means that he's doing something right. That means, and the world knows him. I had with him concerts, of course, in the United States. We had, I don't even remember where, in Riga, we had at the Opera House. In Vilnius, we had, in many places. And so the choir is regarded today as the #1 Jewish choir in the world. It's a pity that, of course, at this time, they don't travel much.
Yeah.
But I hope that they will come, that they will again, because first of all, I think that they should perform much more in Russia itself. There are many centers, Jewish centers all over. I always tell Sasha, try to investigate if you are able to go to St. Petersburg, to, I don't know, to other cities. I mean, Russia has outstanding, beautiful cities. This St. Petersburg is unreal, so beautiful. And so is Moscow too, but St. Petersburg, wow, it's tremendous. So he understands that. And what I did was, for example, you know, in the cantorial music, the element of the cantor singing the music sometimes by himself, yeah, is very important. And I took many pieces just for cantor, and I arranged choral singing also at the same time. And it becomes an outstanding composition. So what happened? They heard that I'm singing with Sasha in the choir all over the world. And now I get all the time telephone calls, emails, I don't know, WhatsApps, whatever it is. Can I have that music? I want to do it. I said to him, but do you have a choir like Moscow Jewish choir? If you would tell me that you have it, I may give it a consideration. But first of all, have a good choir. No, it's outstanding. And you heard some recordings, I believe, yeah, of the combination, the cooperation, yeah, the musical cooperation with the emotion, with the feelings. I don't know, whenever I come to Russia, especially in the early years, I used to cry half of the concerts because the encounter that I always wanted since childhood with Russian Jews eventually came into reality. And I remember that when I came the first time to Moscow, I went to the synagogue to Archipova Street synagogue, and I looked at the people there. It was on Shabbat, or it was after, no, the concert was Sunday, but it was Shabbat there, Sobota, I don't know how you say Shabbat in Russia. And I looked at one man and I said to myself, I know this man. When I say I know, I never met him. I've seen a picture of Sasha's grandfather praying in the Archipova Street synagogue. Wow. And that was the man. And we spoke Yiddish. Oh. We spoke Yiddish. And the grandfather spoke perfect Yiddish, like the old-timers. Fantastic. And so this to be, let me tell you another expression. To be a witness in 1989, to see the awakening of that big lion, which was called the Jewish community, coming back as much as possible to Judaism, through studies, through learning, but through concerts, because Russian Jews have an outstanding feelings for traditional liturgical music. In Hebrew, the prayers, and also Yiddish, yeah, also Yiddish songs. And so I've arranged and I've given, and it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, let's speak now about that song. What you give permission to Alexander to sing here in Moscow, because he's the one. And now I understand why, because you look at him like a professional one. You feel him like a friend, and for a long time you have that connection.
Colleague.
Yeah. tell me why exactly that song, or how you work on that collaboration together.
Okay. First of all, let me tell you a little story. Short. I'll try to make it as short as possible.
No, tell me the long one. It will be interesting.
Okay. Good. Before the Second World War, in Warsaw, in Poland, the last cantor in the great synagogue, in the Tlomacki Street synagogue, was a man by the name of Moshe Kussevitsky.
Mm-hmm.
Moshe Kussevitsky had a fantastic tenor voice. And I remember my late father, who came from Poland, went every Shabbat when he lived in Warsaw and every holiday to hear Kussevitsky singing. And there was police with horses watching the synagogue, that everything should be okay, not inside, of course, outside. When the Warsaw Ghetto began to take place, Moshe Kussevitsky left very quietly, and he went to Siberia, and he suffered in Siberia, and then he arrived in Tashkent. In Tashkent at that time, I think Jewish music couldn't be sung, but with a beautiful tenor voice, he joined the opera in Tashkent. I remember when my wife and I came for the first time in 1989 to Tashkent, as I told you before. In between the two concerts, one was 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the other one was at 8 o'clock at night. In between, I was resting in the room after I finished. A knock at the door, and a man, a zlobat, as we say, huge man, maybe 300 kilo weight, maybe 250, I don't know, I did not measure him. And he walked in, and I had a security man, and he wouldn't let him in. So he says, I am the director of the opera house. I want to speak to Cantor Malovany. So he let him in. I told the security man to go out. I knew right away there was something there. And that man, I don't know if he's still alive, and if he is, he must be a very old man. That man closed the door and started crying. And he told me he started speaking Yiddish. And the Yiddish was good. And he told me that he was the director general of the opera house. And he says, you know which great tenor we had here in Tashkent during the war and a little bit after? He said, Moshe Kussevitsky. Now, I, as a kid, heard Moshe Kussevitsky, and I was crazy about him. And many newspapers wrote that my style of singing, cantorial music, reminds them of Moshe Kussevitsky. I did meet him many times when I was still growing up in Israel. Okay, now the background of the song. Moshe Kussevitsky was the king of cantors. He was regarded, everybody ran to hear him. Moshe Kussevitsky was at some event in Tel Aviv, and they asked him to sing something which they don't know, because everybody who was at the event knew his repertoire.
Yeah.
Everybody knew it, but they said, can you do? So, you know, in the cantorial music, there is the element, one of the bases is improvisation, improvisatio.
Yeah.
And they said, sing something that you are improvised now. So he opened the prayer book. He always had a small prayer book in his pocket, took it out, and he decided to sing Ierushalaim Ircho, and to Jerusalem, this is our prayer to God, where we said to Jerusalem, your city, God, please return as it used to be when there was the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. And may you, God, be in the temple forever. No more destruction of the temples, because 2 temples were destroyed. Neota Bekarov, build it up soon in our time, forever. And then blessed you, God, who is who will build Jerusalem. And he started improvising something which is never sung before.
Fantastic.
And we were sitting, and at the piano, there was a pianist who knew to play very well from music notes, but to play for improvisation, he didn't know, so he was quiet.
Yeah.
So Kussevitsky remembered that he wanted the accompaniment on the piano. I was then 15, 16, and I was there with my late father, and we were there. So my father gave me a shush. And you know, everybody calls me not Joseph, they call me Yossi. So, Yossi Malovany. So my father gave me a shush. He says, go to the piano. Go to the piano. So Moshe Kussevitsky said, oi, Yossi Malovany is here. Sit down at the piano and start playing for me. Improvisation for me is not a problem. I'm a concert pianist, but I'm a Jewish music pianist also, besides the singing and conducting also. And so suddenly became Ierushalaim Ircho, and to Jerusalem, thy city. And eventually I went home. I wrote a piano arrangement for this song from the recording which somebody gave me. Somebody recorded it at the event. Now, as we say, switch forward, years and years and years later, I said to my wife, you know what? I'm going to write a choral arrangement for that thing, so that when I sing it, I can give more emotion and perhaps even more voice to emphasize the text. Because our text, like they said it in the opera house, text is very important besides the singing. In Jewish, it's even more because it is sacred text. It is religious text. And so I sat down and I wrote a beautiful choral arrangement for myself and the men's choir, and I immediately sent it to Sasha. I cannot remember. Yes, I think we sang it the first time in the Bolshoi.
You sent to him that like to check, to show, look what I make, or you sent to him to say, hey, let's do something together?
Exactly what you're saying. And I said, Sasha, I found somebody to send it because I was coming to Moscow for a concert, couple of concerts. They always wouldn't leave me alone. So, and I said, Sasha, teach the choir right away. He made copies for every singer. And then in one of the rehearsals, he called me on the phone, and I heard the choir singing. And Sasha was humming to the best of his ability. He's not a cantor, but he did a good job. And since then, I have it in 2 or 3 of different recordings. But the first one, the most successful one, the more appealing one, was with the Moscow Jewish Choir, conducted by Sasha Tsaliuk. And over the years, I arranged many, as I mentioned before, many other songs from prayer, specifically for Sasha and the choir. And I'm very proud of it. I love them all.
You know, everything what you told right now, it's so it's so big inspiration about it. And
Thank you.
everyone who will listen that song, they will feel it, because as you told before, that it's coming like so deep. It's not just good arrangement and good team and everything. That Alex makes something really unbelievable things. When you listen how it worked from him, did you give him some, I don't know, advice, or maybe you have some, I don't know, maybe you told him, I want that sound be like that, or that sound will be bad or good, I don't know, because I know that he respect you and love you so much and listen you very good in every point.
So, of course, I had exactly my ideas, and I suggested to Sasha, as you call him Alexander, but to me Sasha, and I suggested to him, and he's such a good soul. He's such a wonderful human being. The whole family, his wife and his daughter, his mother, I knew his father, his grandfather, all people with a big heart. And as I said, Sasha is totally committed to the Jewish music. And so any suggestions that I may have made, I suggested it to him. If Sasha had his own idea, well, of course, I listened. So either I said, Sasha, yes, good idea, let's do it. Or I said, Sasha, leave it alone. We have enough to do. So it depends on the piece. It depends the understanding. It very much depends on the text. And I have a deep understanding of the text. Not the translation by itself, but what's behind the prayer. Where does it belong? Why does it belong in this prayer and not in another prayer? And so on and so forth.
Looking really good. Wait a second. We have here some information. Okay. So we have 10 more minutes for recording everything. I get the idea, and it's really so exciting about your story, this Alexander, this Sasha, and that song would have really, really good story. I would like to ask something about your personal, because I really admire people like you who never stop, who still work, who...
Oh, yeah.
You are, yeah, you are. So the first question, where you get your inspiration, and second one, what are you working right now, or on what? On songs,
Okay.
or new things, or what?
So first of all, I'm a religious man. I believe in God. I pray to him 3 times a day. I am what they say Chazan, or Cantor, which means to be the messenger of the congregation in prayer. You know, in every proper synagogue, like in Moscow, there is a rabbi and there is a cantor. Yeah. We like to say that the rabbi brings the word of God to the people, and the cantor brings the word of the people to God. And so, and this is true. Factually, it's true. Well, the rabbi can philosophize, he can teach texts from holy scriptures and Talmud and everything. That's fine, that's good. And I love, so the spirituality I get because I pray to God all the time. I believe in God strongly. I believe that he conducts the world. Occasionally, I talk to him during a dream, but I certainly talk to him when I pray. So the inspiration comes from that. I am a strong pupil of religious texts, of prayers. I just, I'm also a distinguished professor of liturgical music at the very big university here in New York called Yeshiva University.
Mhm.
Yeshiva means a school of Jewish learning, Yeshiva University. I am also rector of the Institute of Liturgical Traditional Jewish Music in Leipzig and Berlin in Germany. So teaching is something that I like doing. By nature, I'm a teacher. And when I sing to people the prayer, I like also to convey it as a teaching situation. And when I feel that I make progress, I'm the happiest man in the world. And so that's very important. So that's the spirituality. So besides the teaching, I still give concerts. I still lecture a lot. I just concluded 80 lectures, 1 hour lecture on the text of prayers via the Zoom all over the world. I was told that, I don't know, they say over 100,000 people listened all over the world to my lectures over the Zoom. Lectures. To speak for an hour, and not to speak nonsense, but proper text explaining origin and everything, takes you between 5 and 8 hours to prepare.
Fantastic.
Multiply it by 80 times, and you can imagine how many hours I spent on it. But of course, I have the text, and it is on YouTube, and it's in English, of course. And so I enjoy the teaching. I enjoy giving the concerts. This morning I was in the synagogue, and today in the Jewish calendar is called Tisha B'Av, the 9th day of the month of Av, when both temples were destroyed.
Yes.
I came into the synagogue last night after not being there for almost 2 months because of the summer, and we are in our dacha up in the mountains. And so they fell over, no, you have to sing, you have to, and the way you sing, you inspire and you teach. You inspire and you teach. So all of a sudden, I found myself that I had to do the singing of those special lamentations, as we call it, keynote. And, but okay, that's my life. I love doing it. Also, because I grew up and I studied conducting, both choral and symphonic conducting, Sasha knows every concert that I do with an orchestra, and if the choir is there, I have to conduct one piece. Half part of the symphony, overture, La Forza del Destino, the Barbero Sibilia, and other. So here comes a man with a nice black kippah on his head, with a stick of conducting, and I said, Sasha, go to the side. I'm taking over the orchestra now, just for one piece, because it's a love. This is really my first love. I had 3 loves in music: piano, conducting, and teaching music. So there we are.
Sounds great. Thank you very much that you found for us time. We wait you here in Moscow.
Yes, I would love to come. Let's hope it won't be that long.
Yes, I believe that we're gonna meet in personal, and
Yeah,
I'm so impressed. You have no idea how much, because before I was check your YouTube and everything, and I'm so blessed to speak this to you right now, and we will have really the great program. So thank you that you found time for us.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, I wish you a great time, and tomorrow is Shabbat and everything. So now I will stop, and after we're gonna send you the link where you will see all the program. It will be
wonderful. And when will it be on TV?
Actually, I cannot answer to you right now, because just tomorrow I'm gonna send all that material to our team, and they will check everything, and from Monday we will start to work on it. So I hope that as soon as possible, maybe next week.
Oh, that's okay.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Good day.
Good day. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Ierushalaim Ircho. Ierushalaim Ircho, vel Ierushalaim Ircho, berachamim toshuv.
Dovi